Good afternoon, students.
Good afternoon, sir.
Audio video is okay.
Yes, sir.
So today we will discuss about the tutorial sheet 10. So it is based on the confidence interval. Last time we have done confidence in sampling theory. So in the very first question, assume that the alcohol content in percentage in a cough syrup taken from any particular brand is normally distributed with true standard deviation 0.75. So the information is given to you about the cough syrup having alcohol content, and alcohol content is continuous and follow the normal distribution, and here standard deviation is known to you 0.75. So what the known to you, it is known as a sigma. Now here compute 95% confidence interval. CI stands for the confidence interval. Compute 95% confidence interval for the true average alcohol content of certain brand is average content of 20 for 20 specimen from the brand was 4.85. Question is what? Let this is the population, and here we have the population mean. Now you have taken the sample of size 20, and from that you have computed the x bar. You have computed the x bar. So what should be the confidence interval with which you can compute from the x bar that must contain the mu, and this must be the 95% confidence that is asked in this question. So here we from the given information according to question, the given that population is normally distributed with sigma is equal to 0.75. So 0.95% or 95% confidence for the mean, we have the standard formula x bar plus minus z alpha by 2 sigma upon root n. What I have told you that when we have the this population mean, right, this is the x is equal to mu, and from the sample you have computed the this is the x is equal to x bar. So we have to compute the confidence interval that means we are 95% confidence that this mu lie in this interval. There is a hardly 5% chance that this mu lie outside this confidence interval. So here the confidence interval is x bar plus minus z alpha by 2 into sigma upon root n. So alpha alpha is given to you, 1 minus alpha is given to you 0.95. So alpha will become the 0.05. 1 minus alpha, that is the 95% confidence interval, is given to you 0.95. So alpha will be the 0.05. N the sample size, 20 is the sample size, and this is the notation of the sample mean. So sample mean is given to you as a 4.85. So when we put this value in the given formula, so it will become 4.85 plus minus z. Now because we have to take the confidence on both sides, so that's why we take the alpha by 2, z of alpha by 2, z of alpha by 2. So it is the z of alpha is 0.05, so it will become the z of 0.025. So z of 0.025, and sigma is given to you here 0.75 divided by the root n, so root 20. So it will come 4.85 plus minus 0.33. So this will become 4.5 to 5.18. Means this is the 4.52, and this is your the 5.18. So in this interval it includes the true mean. Now compute the 98% confidence interval for the true average alcohol content of another brand based on 16 specimen with sample average alcohol content is the 4.56. So now they have reduced the sample size, and even the confidence percentage they have decreased or increased from 95 to 98, but they have decreased the sample size. So the same formula, just we have to replace the substitute the n is equal to 16 and 1 minus alpha is equal to 0.98. So this will give you alpha is equal to 0.02 or alpha by 2 as a 0.01. So this will become 4.56 sample mean plus minus z alpha by 2 z of 0.01 into sigma upon root n, that is the 16. So this will be the 4.12 and 4.12 and the 5. Then after in part C, how large sample size is necessary if the width of 95% confidence is to be 4.40. Now they are saying that this width is given to you as a this width is given to you as a 0.40. So what should be the sample size? What should be the sample size so that this width will be the 0.40? So width of 100 into 1 minus alpha percentage, that is the 95%, it is given to you. So is given by the W is equal to twice of z alpha by 2 sigma upon root n, because here we take this plus minus of the sample mean, so that will give the total width. Twice of this will give the total width. This will give the one sided length, so into 2 will give the total width. So twice of the z alpha by 2 sigma upon root n. So this width is given to you as a 0.40, and alpha is given to you as a 0.05. So alpha by 2 will become 0.025. So its value we can write as a 1.96, and sigma is given to you as a 0.75. So this will give you the required value of n. So when we take the when we have the n is equal to 54.02, so this is the exact value, but sample cannot be the partial. So always you have to take the, never you do the round off, always you take the ceiling value, whether it is the 54.001 or whether it is the 54.999, all will be the equivalent to the 55. Always you have to take the ceiling value, right? So when sampling size you cannot reduce, so never you can take the 54, always you have to take the 55. What sample size is necessary to estimate the true average alcohol content uh, within within 0.2 with 99% confidence? So this is the 1 minus alpha, 100 into 1 minus alpha, and this is given to you as a width. So the same type of the question it is. So now, given that true average alcohol content must lie within the interval minus 0.2 to 0.2, so width will become the 0.4. So width will become the 0.4. So W is 0.4. The same formula we have to use. This formula we have to use. So W is equal to twice of the Z alpha by 2 into sigma upon root n. So n will become 2 into Z alpha by 2 into sigma upon W whole square. So this will come 93.61. So as I have told you, always we have to take the ceiling value. So it will be the required sample size will be the 94. So any conceptual thing you want to ask in this question? Any conceptual doubt? So important thing to note. Yes.
Sir, how do we take the Z alpha by 2 values? As in, once we know the alpha, then how do we get to the Z alpha by 2 value?
Z alpha by 2 value.
Yes, sir.
I'm not getting it. This is the Z alpha. What is the meaning of the Z alpha? Meaning of the Z alpha is the right hand side should area is the alpha. So you have to take the value of Z less than, right, less than Z of 1 minus alpha from the table. Means in the table we have the CDF value. We have the CDF value, but we require the right hand side. So 1 minus the CDF value will give the right hand value.
Okay,
So
sir.
from the table you have to see the value. When I am saying na Z of 0.025, its meaning is you have to determine the value of the Z so that right hand side area is the 0.025 and left hand side area is the 0.975. 0.975. So this 0.975 you have to see in the table where the 0.975. So it will be the at a 2.58, at the 2.58. So this is the CDF value from the table you have to see. So that is the 2.58, this value.
Got it, sir.
Okay. Any other doubt? So main thing here to note that given in the given question or in the present question, it is given to you, it is normally distributed. So that we have this procedure. Let us move to another question. As we have the new concept, I will specify. Suppose a sample, there is misprint in this. Suppose a sample of 400 canes from a population, from the population with sigma is equal to 0.20 produced produced a sample mean equal to 12.09. A 5% confidence interval would be, right. What should be on, is there must be some question also. Some, I think they have some, there must be some question mark here. So what should be the, means they are asking what should be the confidence interval. Main thing is this. So here nowhere we have given the information that it is of normally distributed, right. In this question we have not specified the means quantity follow the normal distribution. Suppose a sample of 400 can, so sample size is given to you, that is the n, from a population with sigma is equal to 0.20. So this population may be of any distribution. Produce a sample mean, whatever the 400 canes you have taken, from that if you measure the quantity, the sample mean it will equal to the 12.09. 12.09. So what would be the confidence interval? Would be, so here we have to compute the 95% confidence interval. And when sigma is known, and if we, because of the central limit theorem, we know that whatever the distribution, if we have the large population means more than 25 or more than 30, right. In some book we follow the more than 25, for some book we follow the more than 30, for some book we follow the more than 40, but you can take even to the 25 also. So when the whatever the distribution, if the sample size is, if the sample size is more than 25, you can say that through the central limit theorem it follow the normal distribution. There is no requirement of the population distribution. Directly you can say that sample follow the normal distribution, and due to that 95% confidence will become the this x var plus minus z alpha by 2 sigma upon root n, sigma upon root n. So z alpha by 2 means this is the z alpha by 2. So alpha is what? Alpha is equal to 0.05. So alpha by 2 will become the 0.025. So here x bar is given to you, sample mean is given to you 12.09 plus minus z alpha by 2 1.96, and sigma is given to you 0.20, and n is equal to, here we have the point, n is equal to 400. So this is the confidence interval that true mean will lie in this interval. So that is the confidence interval. So main thing to convey here, even the population distribution is not given to you, through the central limit theorem, we assume that sample also follow the normal distribution. Now in this case, a random sample of size 120 students from the large university yield mean GPA 2.71 with sample standard deviation 0.51. So in this case, this information is crucial. It is given to you as a sample standard deviation S. In the previous question, this is given to you as a population standard deviation sigma, right? Here we have the population standard deviation, and in this question we have the sample standard deviation. And important thing is here n is equal to 120. Construct the 90% confidence interval for the mean GPA of all students at the university. So you have to find the confidence interval for the mu, right? You have to find the confidence interval of the mu, means mu must include in this interval which you are computing through the x bar sample of size 120. So x bar is given to you as a what? 2.71. So it is more or less same type of the question. So for the confidence level 90%, alpha is equal to 1 minus 0.90. So it will be the 0.10. So alpha by 2 will become the 0.05. So z of 0.05 we have to see. So it is very standard value. Its value is the 1.645. So during the teaching of normal distribution, I have given you this value, right? Through the interpolation, we can determine its value. So its value is the means z of 0.05 is equal to 1.645, and n is given to you as a 120. 120 means larger than the 25 or 30, larger than 25 or 30, and x bar is given to you 2.71, and s is given to you 0.51. So in this case, only the change is, again, when the sample size is more than the 30 or 25, then we say it follow the normal distribution. So confidence interval will become the x bar plus minus z alpha by 2. Now instead of the sigma, now we use the given sample standard deviation, because sigma is not known. We know only the sample standard deviation. So instead of the population standard deviation, we replace the sample standard deviation. So x bar plus minus z alpha by 2 s upon root n. So just you put the value. So x bar is given to you as a 2.71 plus minus z alpha by 2 1.645, s is equal to 0.51, and n is equal to 120. So you will get the required confidence interval. So one may be 95% confidence that true average GPA of all students that the university is contained in the interval 2.71 minus 0.08, 2.71 plus 0.08, that is the 2.63 and 2.71. So that is the confidence interval. So next question, in the next question, then I will conclude one thing. In the next question, compute 95% confidence interval for the true systolic blood pressure if sample of size 10. Now here we have the sample size 10. Right, sample size 10, when we say the sample size 10, means it is the less than 25. Less than 25 from the normal population. Now population is normally distributed. When the population is normally distributed and sample size is less than 25, so has the sample mean and sample standard deviation 1 to 1.2 and 11.1 respectively. So it means, what is this? This is the x bar and this is the s. So when we have this situation that population follow the normal distribution and sample is less than 25, then we say the sampling follow the t distribution. So instead of the z, now we use the student t distribution. We have the same type of the formula, but now instead of the z, we use the student t distribution. Student t distribution, because the sample is large, we can generate 95% confidence interval for the systolic uh, blood pressure using the following formula. Not large, it should be the small ones.
So
So x bar plus minus, pardon?
the value is t alpha by 2 only.
T alpha by 2.
Okay, sir.
Actually t alpha by 2 and z alpha by 2 value will tends to the same value after n is equal to 30. That's why we, instead of the t, we take the z there. After the 30, for the large value, if you see the table, so as we increase the n, the value will converge to same value. So here, substituting the sample statistics, the z value for the 95% we have. So here it should be the t value. So t value will be the 2.262, right? So here we put the t alpha by 2. So t alpha by 2 will become 95% confidence, means alpha is equal to 0.05. So alpha by 2 will be the 0.025. So t alpha by 2 from the table, if you will see, it is the 2.262. Otherwise it is the same. So main thing here to note that for the t distribution, population must follow the normal distribution. Population must be from the or sample from the normally distributed population. And when the sample size is less than 25, then we use the t distribution, right? When sample size is more than 20 or 25 or 30, then we use the normal distribution, right? That is the basic difference. And when the population standard deviation is given to you, we use the population standard deviation. Otherwise we use the sample standard deviation. So in this question we have used the sample standard deviation. This is the sample standard deviation.
So
That is the basic.
So the degree of freedom would be n minus 1, right, for the t
Yeah,
distribution?
for the t minus 1, for the t distribution.
Sir, why do we take that exactly?
N minus 1, actually n minus 1 is when we know the sample mean. We know the sample mean. So we have the choice, we have the freedom to choose any n minus 1 sample. Nth sample will be automatically will be the you can automatically you can write its value when the sample, for example, sample I say that average class average is 50, and if I know there are the 20 students, if I know the marks of the 19 students, so if class average is 50, so I can directly say that marks of the 20th student will be this.
Yes, sir. Sir,
Just to yes.
Sir, why does this not affect us when we are taking a large population sample?
It means large sample because of the central limit theorem. Central limit theorem state that any distribution converts to its sample, its average.
Okay, sir.
Due to the central limit theorem, every distribution, whether the binomial, whether the Poisson, whether the exponential, whether the continuous, any discrete, if you take the large value, even for example our marks, as we have the more students, marks tends to the average one, right? So for any by the central limit theorem, we have uh, uh, this theory that all the observation converts to the population average.
Got it, sir.
Now, a financial officer for a company wants to estimate percent of accounts receivable that are more than 30 days overdue. He surveys 500 accounts, means all the accounts he cannot check. So he survey only the sampled account, 500 account, and finds that 300 are more than 30 days overdue. Compute 90% confidence interval for the true percentage of the account receivable that are more than 30 days overdue, and interpret the confidence interval. So in this case, he wants what will be the true proportion, what will be the true proportion, or what is the confidence interval for the proportion. So from the sample, he finds that 300 account are overdue out of the 500 sampled one. So this is the question of the proportion, means proportion. So here X number of overdues is given to you as a 300 out of the sampled account 500. So proportion will come P dash X upon N, that is the 0.6. So Q dash will come 1 minus P dash, that is the 1 minus 0.6, that is the 0.4. So the confidence interval 100 into 1 minus alpha percent confidence interval for the proportion is given by the P dash minus Z alpha root of the P dash Q dash upon N, right? So here it should be the Z alpha by 2. Z alpha by 2. So in this case, so since the confidence level 0.90, that is the alpha is equal to 1 minus confidence level 1 minus 0.90, that is the 0.10. So alpha by 2 will become the 0.05. So Z alpha by 2, we know that its standard value 1.645. So confidence interval for the proportion is the P dash plus minus Z alpha by 2 root of P dash Q dash upon N. So when we put this value, right, so P dash is known to you 0.6 from the sample, Q dash 0.4, N is equal to 500, Z alpha by 2 1.645. So this confidence interval will come as a 0.564 and 0.636. So this is the way to determine the confidence interval for the proportion. Anything you want to ask in this? So earlier question based on the average mu, and this is this based on the proportion.
Sir, so this estimates the probability of probability, as in
You can say, means for example in the binomial distribution you require the binomial distribution follow the there are the two parameters n and p. So that is the p of the success. So that p we are estimating here.
We are finding a probability for success in a
Estimation of the probability of the success in each trial.
for a big sample.
For the sample.
Sir,
Yes.
sir, there was a formula, na? So like, so a very big formula, P equal to P tilde plus minus Z alpha by 2 and then under root P into 1 minus P. So that's a which, so what formula was that, sir?
That is this only, na, you are telling.
Sir, to,
That is the q dash is the 1 minus p dash.
yes, sir. Sir, like we solve P using a quadratic equation and find the both its roots. Sir, so when do we use that?
I'm not getting which formula you are telling me. Otherwise, you send me the WhatsApp. I will reply to that. You
Okay,
just
So I
give me
think
the.
that's for the score confidence interval.
Yes, sir. Okay, okay. Got it.
Sir, wasn't the previous formula an estimation of that bigger formula?
No, that is the estimation, but that is the of different type. That is the estimation.
Okay, sir.
From the past experience, it is known that weight of the salmon grown at a commercial hatchery are normal with mean that varies from season to season, but means mu is unknown. But with a standard deviation remain fixed 0.3 pounds. If we want to be 95% confidence or certain that our estimate of the present season mean weight of the salmon is correct to within plus minus zero point 0.1 pounds, how large the sample is needed? So that is the previous type question. Means we want the width, we have the width, we want the sample size. So in this case we know that what is the formula for the confidence interval, that for the 95% confidence interval estimate for the unknown mean mu based on the sample size is the mu always lie between the x bar plus minus z alpha by 2 sigma upon root n, right? X bar plus minus z alpha by 2 into sigma upon root n. So because the estimate x bar is within 1.96 into sigma upon root n, that is sigma is given to you, so it will become 0.588 upon root n of any point in the interval. It followed that we can be 95% confidence that x bar is within 0.1 of mu provided that means this limit they are saying that it is the 0.1. 0.1 means from the x bar on this side we have the 0.1, on this side we have the 0.1. So for any side you can take, so it is the 0.588 upon root n less than equal to 0.1. So just you take the square on both side, so it will come root n greater than equal to 5.88 or n greater than equal to 34.57. So as I have told you, always we take the ceiling value. So sample should be 35 or more than 35, so that you can find the true mean in between. If a signal D is transmitted from the place A and received as D plus W at place F, means there is some change in the signal. D become the D plus W, where F is normal random variable with mean 0 and variance 4. To reduce the error, if same signal is sent 9 times and if the successive value received are 5, 8.5, 12, 15, 7, 9, 7.5, 6.5, 10.5. Find 95% confidence interval for mean of D plus W. What is the 95% confidence lower and upper bound? Means when we say 95% confidence interval, means we are talking for the two side. When we say lower bound and upper bound, so it means we are talking about the single side. So let us move. So sample values are given to you x1, x2, x9 as a 5, 8.5, 12, 15, 7, 9, 7.5, 6.5, 10.5. So from here, if you want to compute the x bar, so x bar will be the summation of xi upon n. So here we have computed the x bar as a 81 upon 9, that is the 9. It follows under the assumption that values received are independent, that a 95% confidence interval for mu is. So it will become x bar plus minus z alpha by 2 into sigma upon root n. So that will become 7.69 and 10.31. Hence, we are 95% confident that true message value lies within 7.69 and 10.31. Means mu will be whatever we are transmitting, the mu will lie in this interval. That is given here. Now, Z, it is given to you in the second part. In the second part, you have to determine what are the 95% confidence lower and upper bound. So lower and upper bound means we have to determine that this mu lie between on this side. So this value you have to determine. This mu lie on this side. So this will give you the lower bound. This will give you the upper bound. So what should be this value? So that 95% times this true value lie in that interval. So here probability Z less than 1.645 is equal to 0.95. That is the very standard value. So here Z is what? Z is what? From the sample Z is what? X bar minus mu upon sigma upon root n. So it will give you root n into x bar minus mu upon sigma less than 1.645 is equal to 0.95. So it will give you x bar minus 1.645. That is nothing special. That is the x bar plus minus z alpha by 2 into sigma upon root n less than mu is equal to 0.95. So that is the 95% one-sided upper confidence interval for the mu. It means x bar minus 1.645 in 1.645 into sigma upon root n to infinity. So it means when we have this normal curve, So this true mu lie in this interval, and this value is what? X bar minus 1.645 sigma upon root n to infinity. That is the thing. Similarly, for the left side, we have to determine a one-sided lower confidence interval is obtained similarly when we the observed value of the sample mean x bar, then the 0.95% one-sided lower confidence interval for the mu is. So it is on the opposite side. So minus infinity x bar plus z alpha by 2 sigma upon root n. So this much question we have in the tutorial sheet 10. Now next is the tutorial sheet 11. So in tutorial sheet 11, question number 1 is let x1, x2, xn denote random sample from the normal population distribution with a known value of sigma. So first population is normally distributed and sigma is known. That is important. It means we have to apply the Z distribution. For testing hypothesis, hypothesis means whatever the claim we want to prove. So for testing hypothesis, H naught mu is equal to mu naught versus H naught mu greater than mu naught, where mu naught is the fixed number. Means our claim is that new, from the new experiment, from the new theory, from the new invention, average will increase. Right, this is the alternative. It should be the H1. So this is the alternative hypothesis, mu greater than. Generally we accept the new theory, new concept, new drug, new invention or new thing only when we have the more average. Right, when we have the more average or less suitable average, you can say suitable average. Sometimes less average is also acceptable, but we accept only when it is more suitable to us, otherwise we reject. So to prove the importance of alternative hypothesis, whatever the alternative we are giving, we have to discard, we have to reject the existing one. So always we take the existing one as a H naught. Means whatever we want to discard, always we take as a H naught. H naught means null hypothesis which we want to discard, where mu naught is a fixed number. Important one more thing, in the H naught only, always you can write the is equal to. Never in the alternative hypothesis we can include the is equal to number, so that test with the statistics x bar and rejection region. So reject in this is the rejection region. Rejection region means region in which null hypothesis we are rejecting. Means if the sample mean is more than mu naught plus 2.33 sigma upon root n, then we reject the H naught. So this is also known as the rejection region or critical region. So here we are here the test statistic is the x bar. Test statistics means it is a variable, random variable over which we are testing our hypothesis, has significant level of 0.01. So in this case, region is given to you, x bar greater than equal to mu naught plus 2.33 sigma upon root n, when mu is equal to mu naught. So we convert this into the standard normal distribution. So x bar, we know that x bar follow the normal distribution with parameter mu naught and sigma upon root n. So we write x bar minus mu naught upon sigma upon root n. So it will give you z. So z greater than equal to, I'm saying, so z greater than equal to mu naught plus 2.33 sigma upon root n minus mu naught upon sigma upon root n. Are you getting?
Sir, so here we took the x bar as the statistic, and then the rejection region was also of the type of a CIE, right? So when we did it twice, the mu naught got cancelled.
I think you may face some problem in taking. There is a light cutoff. So after this, you may face the problem in recording. But I have started the things, but it is on backup now. So you may miss last 5 minutes things. So here, presently it is going well, na?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So what you are telling? What you tell?
Sir, I was saying that here we take the x bar as the statistic itself, and
X bar means when we have to measure test mu, so always we test with the sample mean. When you have to test the variance, we test with the sample variance. When you have to test with the standard deviation, we test with the sample standard deviation. When you have to test the proportion probability, so we test with the proportion.
okay, sir. Sir,
These are the some standard means test statistics for testing these things.
yes, sir. Sir, so here we were given that the x is also a normal distribution, and z also follows the same nu, right? That's why we were
Always whatever the distribution of the population, the same distribution followed by the sample also,
got it, sir.
because we are taking the sample from the population only. So whatever the distribution of the population, always the sample follow the that distribution. From the sample, we have the sample mean. Actually, what is the going on? This is the population. From the population, you have taken the sample. You have taken the sample. From the same population, again you have taken the sample. From the same population, again you have taken the sample. For each sample, we have the sample mean. For each sample, we have the sample mean. So these sample mean, due to the different sample, we have the different sample mean. It means this must also follow some distribution. This is what? This is the random variable. Random variable means it will follow some distribution. So when so it is given to you when the population follow the normal distribution, then the sample mean also follow the normal distribution with parameter population mean and sigma upon root n. That is the theory.
Got it, sir.
So that means sample mean itself is the random variable. That is the important thing to note. But from the same population, you have taken the sample, I have taken the sample. So my sample mean is naturally different from your sample mean. So it will become the random variable. Then random variable, it must be characterized by some distribution. So what should be the distribution? So here it follow the normal distribution with population mean mu naught and standard deviation sigma upon root n. So due to that x bar minus mu upon sigma upon root n will become the z, standard normal distribution by the central limit theorem. So here mu naught and mu naught is cancelled out, sigma upon root n cancel out. So this will become the z greater than equal to 2.33 and its value is the 0.01. So that they want to prove in this question. It must be a 0.01. It must be the 0.01. Now, suppose the procedure of the part 1 is used to test H naught mu less than equal to mu naught versus H1 mu greater than mu naught. If mu naught is 100, n is equal to 25, sigma is equal to 5. What is the probability that committing the type 1 error when mu is equal to 0.99, when mu is equal to 0.98, right? So mu means this is given to you as a mu naught standard value. In general, what can be said about the probability?
So nu is given as 100, right? So nu would be different.
No, sample mean is given to you 100.
So nu naught is 100.
Committing the type 1 error when the mu, अच्छा, ठीक है. Mu naught is given to you as 100. Okay, and this mu is given to you as 99 and 98. So in this case, probability rejecting H naught when mu is equal to 0.99. So X bar greater than 102.33 when mu is equal to 99. Instead of the 100, now they are saying that it is given to you as a 0.99. So Z greater than equal to 102.33 greater minus 0.99 upon 1. So it will come the Z greater than equal to 3.33. So its probability will be the, so this is the probability for rejecting the H naught when H naught is true. H naught is true means H naught is true means here it is given to you mu is equal to 99 and here mu is equal to 0.99, which is less than the true value 100. So when H naught is true, what will be the type 1 error? So type 1 error is nothing, it is the probability for committing or for rejecting the H naught when it is true. Rejecting the H naught when it is true. So this is the type 1 error, and we denote it by the alpha. Type 1 error we denote by the alpha, and alpha for the mu is equal to 98. Alpha for the mu is equal to 98 will be the probability Z greater than equal to 4.33. So it is the 0.
So where did we get 1 from in the last step? So dividing by 1 था ना उसमें 102.33 minus 9.
This is the sigma upon root n.
Okay.
Sigma upon root n. Got?
Got it.
So how did we got 102.33?
I think it's and that's why I'm it should be in question. There is a mistake, I think, in this question. It should be in question.
Sir, we would have used the above rejection region, right? X
Yes,
bar
sir.
equal
They
to-
have said to use part 1.
नहीं रिजेक्शन रीजन तो हमने वो 2.33 हमने वो बॉर्डर निकाला, दैट इज द बॉर्डर.
Yes, sir. Sir, तो वही सही तो लिखा है x bar greater than that, so we would have to reject, right? So
So when we put this value 100, 2.33, and this is the one that you will get.
Okay.
That you will get the on solving you will get the 102.33. Right? Means this is the 100 plus 2.33 into 1. So that is the 102.33. Clear?
Yes, sir.
So just conclusion. In general, we have probability of the type 1 error. Type 1 error means rejecting H0 when H0 is true, less than 0.01 when this probability is calculated for the value of the mu less than 100. The boundary value of mu is equal to 100 yields the target alpha. Means here when we are taking the sample, so some boundary we have to decide. So that boundary we have decided that x bar is equal to 102.33. So if x bar is less than this sample mean is less than this, then it's okay. Otherwise, we have to reject the H0. So for the acceptance of the alternative, sample mean must be more than the 102.33. That we have computed here. So rest question we will continue in next class. Next Thursday we will get or not?
No, sir, because I think last working day is Wednesday. But I think you can keep the class because PNS is the first exam.
No, better ki I will give the video because we have the total seat 11 and 12 as well.
Yes, sir.
So it's better I record the video than I give, and if you feel any problem, then I can keep the class, but in that better you ask your subject problem. No?
Okay,
Before
sir.
that, I will send the video.
Okay, sir.
In that, if you feel any problem, then you can ask directly on that day.
Sure, sir.
And other problem from the subject. And
Yes.
last, in the mid-sem, I have floated a few videos. So it is useful. I have to go for the comprehensive or not? If you have seen.
Yes, sir, it will be useful, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Because
Maybe
within
you
1 or
can
2 days, I
solve.
have to float. Within 1 or 2 days, I have to float that also. No, so it is. If it is useful, then I should prepare. Otherwise,
Yes, sir. The previous year's questions you solved were quite useful. So maybe one, if you could do a couple of them for the comprehensives of the previous years, then it would be very good.
okay. So I will float within 1 or 2 days.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir.
Okay. Welcome.